You have cybersecurity insurance providers who are taking advantage of the difficulty of attribution. And what they're now doing with a lot of these cybersecurity policies for these companies is they are saying, we will not cover an incident that you might experience if it can be potentially attributed to an advanced persistent threat, an APT actor.
Yeah.
And the thing that drives me nuts and up the wall is APTs, and for those of you who don't understand what advanced persistent threat actors are, these are individuals and organizations that are probably state funded. They have enough finances to be an organized operation to persistently, that's where the persistent comes from, through the use of advanced, in theory, capabilities, exploit an organization and so forth. I see APTs as just like everything else. In my experience, they will use whatever works and whatever they have at hand in order to exploit an organization. And that oftentimes includes basic stuff like Nmap scans and things like that, which any attacker is going to use. And as a result, you'll see a lot of these claims that are being rejected because they're like, but we saw an APT do this once. That's some BS right there. And just at this point, if you're one of those insurance providing companies, just say, we just want you to pay us a subscription just cause, right? Because that is no reason to not provide the insurance coverage that's being provided. On that, further though, so as you're saying, it's really hard to catch those. And I agree. Do you think that if they had observed, I mean, we talked about observing a framework. You're right. If you observe the framework, it can be helpful, but it has to be done in a different way. Also, and it has to be taken seriously. And none of our clients, naturally, because our clients are amazing. And I think we just luck out all the time, Dustin. You see some organizations that if they pay for MDR, they just view it as a silver bullet and say, well, I've paid it. I'm done. Right? I don't have to worry about cybersecurity anymore because they just want to view it as something they no longer have to think about. Right. And to that end, I can understand that is a very seductive inclination for these organizations. However, I would strongly encourage and warn organizations not to do that, specifically because if you just think you can pay for something and not worry about it in the field of cyber anymore, you've missed kind of the point. It is an enablement capability. You still need someone to help, for example, guide the implementation, the rollout of a capability of a service of an endpoint monitoring solution, things along those lines. And if you don't have that, at least one person in your organization who's responsible of that, it doesn't matter how many things you pay for, they're not going to be implemented appropriately. And you're just going to have this false sense of security.
Yeah. Risk transference is a thing. It's a term. I don't usually buy into it. And look, I know that, for the business people out there, they're like, no, you can do that. When it comes to agreements with cloud providers, with MDR, with MSS providers, with really any kind of technical provider, usually there still is quite a bit of responsibility that you have as the client for the security and privacy of your data. And that's something that needs to be paid special attention to. Yeah. And so if you are in charge of the security of something, you still need to make sure that you're understanding where your responsibilities start and end when it comes to any kind of vendor, right? And you totally hit on exactly what I was talking about earlier, Frank, which is people bank on the detect part. They're just like, yep, we got the detection in place. Great. So if you think about this like a house or like a museum where you can tell if somebody opens a door, even remotely, and say, oh no, someone's broken into my house. If you don't have a plan and you don't have any kind of protections in place, then you have to answer to not just whatever gets stolen and whoever's property gets stolen out of you also have to answer a question to the police as to why you didn't lock the door, and your insurance as to why you didn't lock the door.
And you're right on that, because you're getting to a bigger point of accountability there for why and who. We've got multiple agencies that assumed each other would act here, right? Yeah. Multiple different parts of that assumed there was, I guess you could call it governance diffusion, in that there was no single accountability. And on top of it all, there was leadership turnover. There was a new director in 2021 who acknowledged the issues, but then didn't have the funding. So I've got kind of two questions there, right?
Changing a Wi-Fi password is free. Sorry.
I agree.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about the human factor, though, and the actual legacy tech. When you have a government organization that's relying upon a bunch of legacy tech that requires a lot of funding to fix, what do they do in that situation?